Hey, welcome in.
Welcome to the Arrowhead Addict podcast.
We are here coming to you live. The Kansas City Chiefs are going to the Super Bowl. You only win a Super Bowl 2 times every 5 years, right? Oh! The warm-up act is over. Let's bring in Melissa Etheridge, massive Chiefs fan. Melissa.
Super Bowl champion, 2-time Pro Bowler, and Trent Green. Trent Green, how you doing?
Hey, what's going on, guys?
And he picked it up! He picked it up! He's gonna score! And we'll see you next week, but until then, as always, go Chiefs.
Welcome to the Arrowhead Addict podcast. I am Sterling Holmes doing a little Q&A for YOU. Looking forward to this. Again, nothing to really talk about. So we're going to answer any questions you may have. Already have some in the books thanks to our great Discord members. Appreciate all y'all who have already dropped in a few comments for me to get to. Heads up, no Matt Connor today. Matt Connor focusing on the website right now a little more. Matt Connor probably joining back with the pod a little closer to the season. He'll most likely come on when the season starts, but that's where we're at right now. During the offseason, he has so much work to do on the site. That's where he will be, but we do have some great guests coming up on Tuesday going forward and some fun guest news in general in the future that I'm very much looking forward to sharing. But today is a Q&A. All right, first question to get to. By the way, some of these are a little bit, you can ask me anything. They can be jokes. They can be non-football related, and we will be testing that out a little later on in this show. One from Slothy in the Discord. Right here says, has the team finally learned their lesson, and they will try to stay out of the news from now on? Slothy, always appreciate you. I see in the chat right now. No. If you gave me the over-under set at a half, I'm ripping the over. It's 53 dudes who are typically younger who have a lot of money. We think they're always going to learn their lesson. What has time? What has history shown us? No, because they think, well, that happened to them. That won't happen to me. That's them. That's their issue. That won't happen to me. That's now my issue. Again, will we see another Rashee Rice situation? Most likely not. I would be shocked if we did. But as far as will we see someone in the news for maybe less than stellar terms, most likely. It's just an odds game we're playing right now. I'm always a little more excited when everyone moves back into St. Joe and Arrowhead and Kansas City. All right, you had your fun. Go back with your friends. Now come back to more structure. We want to see you in a structured environment, so hopefully we'll see less of those. And by the way, the whole Wanye Morris situation with him, marijuana and across state line and all that stuff, that's a non-starter, really, for me as a dude who, quite frankly, I don't smoke. Again, call me a loser. Was not a huge fan of it getting legalized because I'm not a fan of the smell. Sorry, nerd alert. I don't care what you do in your home. It should be legal in your home. I'm annoyed when people go out and start toking on the street. As Richard can attest, my thoughts of weed in Vegas were not strong. It was crazy. I don't want KC to start smelling like Vegas. Not a smell that I really enjoyed. But again, it's legal in Missouri. They bought it in Missouri, at least allegedly, going across state lines. They were caught 1,000 feet one way. They were golden. That to me is not a big deal. You have to only pass one drug test to basically be good for the season in the NFL. Everyone knows when that drug test is going to happen, at least the players do. So for me, this was more or less of a non-starter. Not a great look, but again, doesn't necessarily move the needle. By the way, why is everyone saying guest nudes? Does I misspeak and say guest nudes? If I did, that's on me. I don't want to see guest nudes. Not something that I'm into on this show. You don't want to see You don't want to see that. You don't want to see mine either. No one wants to see that. Next question from the Discord from Raymond Chandler. Raymond says, the obvious question, speculation, are the Chiefs likely to stand pat on the wide receivers they have in-house or try to get one of the free agents out there? And then you said, what are the plans at running back? I'll get to the running back one in just a moment. Let me look up all the free agent wide receivers because that list is dwindling. I had that pulled up. Let me get that pulled back up. I use Spot Track as a heads up. I think they do a fairly good job of breaking this all down. Wide receivers, now let's get into it. Obviously, Zay Flowers, DJ Chark, Odell Beckham Jr., all those dudes are already signed. If you didn't see today, Devontae Parker has now retired. He was technically with the Eagles, but 9-year veteran, 31-year-old wide receiver Devontae Parker has now retired. As far as the available wide receivers, some decent names, at least names that maybe you guys will know that are out there. Hunter Renfrow, we'll start with Hunter Renfrow. I don't see Hunter Renfrow being a fit for the Chiefs, even if I think initially we're all drawn to the name of a guy who went for over a K just a few years ago as a Raider. What I have heard from Raiders media and people more or less in the know with Hunter Renfrow in that particular season was he had again, much minor, little bit of a Travis Kelce thing going on with Derek Carr. Again, much minor. They allowed him to somewhat do what he wanted in his routes, and Derek Carr was almost fixated on him. He is a great route runner, no doubt, and maybe he could slip back into a traditional slot role. But the reason why he had so much success was because just like Travis Kelce has the ability to create, that was more or less what Hunter Renfrow was doing out of the slot with the Raiders. Obviously, McDaniels did him no favors. He came out of favor with the wide receiver room, and now he is a free agent. But there is a reason why dude has not been signed. More or less, I think a lot of folks understood that was why he had his success. You can't just plug him in any sort of system and he'll go for 1,000 yards, let alone an effective wide receiver. Again, they give him a shot. I'll talk myself into it, but that's the main reason why Hunter Renfrow is currently a free agent. A couple more guys to get to. Michael Thomas is the bigger name. Michael Thomas is the Josh Gordon, in my opinion here, a guy who was, oh yeah, look what he did 5 years ago. Health is always going to be an issue with Michael Thomas at this point. Again, would I hate the Chiefs giving a cheap flyer on Michael Thomas? No, but it doesn't really calm my nerves when you have a highly injury-prone dude like Michael Thomas, who, quite frankly, has not been good in year after year after year. But he would be a power slot, a guy who could potentially fill that Rashee Rice role, at least on paper. Plus, let's be real now, he could run slants. We know that the slant king himself. I would like to see more slants run by Kansas City. Would be nice. Russell Gage, not moving the needle. Jamal Agnew, in my opinion, is a return man. McCole Hardman, no, thank you. I mean, the list of names out there is just not ideal. Sterling Shepard, 31 years old. No, thank you. That's about it of the names. If you're looking at free agent wide receivers, I'm sorry, I don't have to tell you guys. It ain't going to be pretty. What's in-house is in-house. Either you're hoping out, you're holding out hope for Michael Thomas, and he stays healthy. You're hoping that Hunter Renfrow can somewhat find what he did that 1 year in, that may have even been when they were in Oakland, before they even moved to Las Vegas. That's how long ago it was. Basically what you're hoping is Rashee Rice isn't suspended until next year, or you have a lot of faith in Justin Watson. That's basically what the hope comes down to as far as the veterans are concerned. Woozy Guy says, long time no see. I've been at the Winchester drinking a pint, waiting for all this drama to blow over. Cheers. So what's going on with the left tackle situation? Wanya Morris is getting the starting nod or what? Great question. Now, if this were me, I'm leaning Wanye Morris. Again, the weed situation aside, again, stay off the weed. But I guess rather have that than doing whatever Rashee Rice has been doing. Stay in, get the munchies. You're an offensive lineman, bulk up, baby, and play a Kyler Murray video game. I'm cool with that. I'm leaning towards Wanye Morris. I think the floor of Wanye is going to be higher than Kingsley Suamataia. If you've listened to me before, I think there's a massive jump from college to NFL, and I think the position that is most notable is tackle. You'll see elite tackles and elite prospects at tackle get destroyed year one before all of a sudden, okay, yeah, now they blossomed year two. Andrew Thomas is always the name I get to. I don't think Wanye Morris is going to be Andrew Thomas level. That guy is an absolute stud in the NFL. But my point here is the bad of Wanye Morris is going to be washed out. That's going to be more of the outlier, while the good of last year, which he had some good snaps last year, is going to become more of the norm. That is what I expect from Wanye Morris. Again, I might be wrong, but that's the way I lean. I lean with Wanye Morris getting the nod, and unless Kingsley Suamataia just dominates OTAs and training camp in the preseason, okay, then you have a decision. Or if you believe Wanye Morris fits more as a right tackle, which maybe the Chiefs do, then you have Kingsley Suamataia, you have Juwan Taylor at right tackle, you have Wanye Morris as your swing, and maybe if you want to get out of the Juwan Taylor contract, not this year, but the following, and you want to plug and place Wanye Morris there, okay, that's intriguing too. That's what I think the Chiefs could do. They have some flexibility here. Prince Tagovailoa, as I've last saw, is no longer on the Chiefs. That was a little interesting. So no Prince Tagovailoa as the emergency break glass in case of emergency. He's no longer here. So that's where I land on the tackle situation. I personally would give Wanye Morris the nod at left tackle, but I understand if you have Kingsley Suamataia there. Again, I think there's a legitimate 55-45, 50% chance of either of those guys starting. I'm out on Donovan Smith. Nothing against him. I think you look at the floor, I think it's going to be fairly similar to what Wanye Morris is going to be this year. Again, I'm higher on Wanye than most. I don't think Donovan Smith is a bad left tackle. I think he's an average to below average left tackle at this point in his career, but I do think there's a reason why he is still out there as a free agent. There's a reason. If the Chiefs bring back and bring in Donovan Smith, that is bad news. That means neither Wanye Morris or Kingsley Suamataia has impressed. That means both those guys, the Chiefs think they are not ready. And for Wanye Morris heading into a second year, that, in my opinion, is very, very bad. You would almost have a Lucas Niang situation on your hands, even if Lucas Niang had extenuating circumstances, including sitting out the COVID year and, quite frankly, a plethora of injuries. If you see Donovan Smith back as a Chief, that means we have lots of questions about Suamataia as well as Wanye Morris. Not saying it can't happen, not saying it won't happen. I'm saying I don't want it to happen because that is what that would make us believe. Not ideal. Andy Reid talked about that a while ago, saying, no, we like what or maybe it was Brett Veach. We like what we have in the building. Basically, Suamataia and Wanye will have every opportunity to win the starting job. SA Flip says the officer who gave him a ticket for weed must have been a rivalry team fan. Probably wasn't Raiders. I've been to Vegas. Those dudes don't care. Wild. Lauren Shanks says, who's leading the backfield in receptions this year? Please don't say Dalvin Cook. I think he is cooked. Yeah, I would be shocked. And that's not necessarily where I see Dalvin Cook's game translating, especially on the Chiefs. Great question there. At this exact moment, who's currently on the roster? I hate this answer. Clyde Edwards-Helaire. If we're looking at this team construction right now, out of the backfield, who's leading it? I'd probably lean towards Clyde, and I don't like that. I don't know if you bring back Jerick McKinnon. That seems to be a little going back to the well maybe one too many times when you're looking at a guy his age, going to go and give you guys a list of current free agent running backs. You can always give me your thoughts in the chat as well. Love to hear them if any of these names are intriguing to you. Damian Harris, Cam Akers, Matt Breida, 29, Kareem Hunt, 29, Latavius Murray, who's 35, Jerick McKinnon, 32, Marlon Mack, Josh Kelly, LaMichael Pirine, Lynn Bowden. Not a lot of great RBs. I know we're going to probably see some Kareem Hunt names getting thrown up in the chat right now. No thank you for a multitude of reasons. Again, we know that's not going to happen when he lied to the Chiefs, but I also don't think he's a great player anymore. Don't know if it's worth the risk, especially with what's going on with Rashee Rice and with everything with the team. Again, that's just my personal opinion. There's a reason why he has not signed back with the Browns. He had his issues with the Browns as well. It wasn't like he left the Chiefs and all of a sudden he was had no issues in Cleveland. You can look those up. Not great. So I think the whole Kareem Hunt situation, I don't even think is a starter. Damian Harris or Cam Akers, but Cam Akers has been one of the most inefficient running backs ever since he came into the NFL. He is still very young, not even 25. So maybe you would take a flyer on him. I would say one name to potentially keep an eye on is Keontae Ingram, originally drafted, I believe, by the Cardinals. I know he was with the Cardinals last year, came to Kansas City, placed on the practice squad. A lot of raw talent, but never got anything going. Keontae Ingram might be a name to at least monitor in the running back room. But right now, yeah, that's a pretty weak group overall, especially if anything were going to happen to Pacheco. Running back is one of those positions, especially when you're as physical as Pacheco is. Don't know how much you want to count your eggs on him playing all 17 games, plus, let's be real now, 3 or 4 more in the playoffs. Paige says, morning, Sterling, listening to you from Australia. Morning, Paige. Can you see the Chiefs strategically putting Wentz in for more snaps to rest Mahomes later in the year, considering the 3 games in 10 days and early bye? No, I don't. We thought we might see Blaine Gabbert as a QB, some QB sneak rolls last year. Never happened. I guess we did see Blake Bell occasionally in that role, and we all hated it. I would be a little surprised, if the Chiefs are resting their starters week 18, game 17 against the Broncos. Sure. Yeah, I could see Blaine Gabbert getting the nod, or not Blaine Gabbert, Carson Wentz getting the nod there. And quite frankly, I actually like the pick of Carson Wentz. I think that was an astute move by Andy Reid, Brett Veach, and the Chiefs. I think it makes some sense. But I don't think, barring injury, Carson Wentz will see any sort of action on the field. If you gave me the over-under of, 2.5 snaps, I'm probably still taking the under. Again, barring injury, because I think you're not going to see him on QB sneaks the same way they use Blake Bell. I think if they're going to use that play, they'll run out a tight end, a Noah Gray, a Jared Wiley, right? Little quarterback. I believe he played a little bit of quarterback in high school there. So, no, I don't see Carson Wentz going in for Mahomes to try and give him a few days or a few snaps or a few games off during that stretch. Shred says, any cut candidates you think the Chiefs might go after, or do you think they might do any extensions? Ooh, great question. Man, I wish I would have had that one before the show. I don't have any off the top of my head. I'm sure there's a name or two out there, a wide receiver or two, a running back or two. But I apologize, Shred. I don't have any off the top of my dome that I could give you. As far as extensions, I thought before the season or before they drafted the safety in the 4th round, Jaden Hicks, I thought maybe you would see Justin Reid to try and bring that cap hit down. Now I feel Jaden Hicks is more of that replacement in the future for Justin Reid. The Chiefs are not giving a lot of second contracts out to safeties, at least historically. So I don't know if they're going to go here and extend Justin Reid. That was the one name I had tabbed. Joe Thuney is the other name I think you can look at as far as an extension. How much do you think he has left in the tank? How many years? How does he bounce back from injury? Again, something to monitor is the pec injury to Joe Thuney. How does he bounce back? That is the one name I think you could look at for an extension. Creed Humphrey, Trey Smith, I don't think they do that yet. I think they might wait. And if they're the agents of those two players, I think you wait until next year until they hit free agency to see what they're going to get. Because you saw the guard market explode. Robert Hunt getting, what was it, 5 for $100 million. Trey Smith is as good as Robert Hunt, right around there. So I think if you're the agents of those guys, don't think you do that. I think those guys hit free agency. And if you give me a choice right now, who I thought was going to be back as a Chief, if it was between Creed Humphrey or Trey Smith, I think it's Creed Humphrey. Centers are getting paid less than guards in the current market. All pro, by the way, Creed Humphrey. Trey Smith is very, very good, but he's been a little bit up and down. Give me Creed Humphrey, the more consistent guy, even though the snap issues have me at least a little bit worried. See a few people talking about Reese Zamet. I don't know. Man, I get the excitement about that guy, but a lot of what I have seen and heard still holds the ball like it's rugby, way up yonder. There's still some things that he needs to figure out as he translates from rugby to the NFL. He runs very upright, not saying he can't do it. Dude's very athletic. But I have a hard time seeing him make a major impact outside of special teams and kickoffs. I don't see him being used a ton out of the backfield. Maybe I'm wrong, but I want to tamper expectations a little bit because I feel like there's always going to be a guy we look at as an unsung dude or a guy that we have a lot of hope for. Justin Ross, Deneric Prince, Reese Zamet. I think it's fun to hope and it's fun to dream and we love the story. But I think history shows us more times than not, we're probably just hoping and not reality. I wish the best for the guy, but I'm not going to put my eggs in the Reese Zamet basket. I'm not hitching my wagon to that. At least not yet. Once I get out to training camp this year and I see him more in person, if he adjusts his running style of how he holds the football, then we can have a different discussion. But as of this current moment, again, I try to be a realist. I'm a fan, but I also am a realist and doing a lot in the media. I can't just go ahead and say that I think Reese Zamet is going to be an impact player this year. That's my personal opinion. I think Alan F. has it right. Zamet won't make the team practice squad because of the exemption. I think, Alan, you are correct. Ruben DeCruz says, hi, Sterling. Hi, Ruben. Hope you're doing well. Woozy Guy says, how hopeful are you that FAU takes a step up this year? Any difference between this year and last year that gives him an advantage of getting more opportunity? Obviously, Charles Minahu being out to start the season with the injury gives him a leg up there. I do think we'll see FAU take a step forward. If you've listened to me before, I know Woozy Guy you have, but if anyone has ever heard my thoughts and my take on FAU was, calm down. Calm down on FAU. Who was he going to play over last year? He wasn't playing over Minahu. He wasn't playing over Mike Dana. He wasn't playing over Karlaftis. And he wasn't going to play over Chris Jones on third down situations when Chris Jones moved out to edge. Who did you want him playing over? Who do you want to take off the field? Wasn't going to happen. So my opinion on FAU was that was a redshirt year. He was raw. The same thing that we use for George Karlaftis that we use as a plus. He was young. He was raw. Look how young he is. We wanted the same for FAU, but they were different style of players. George Karlaftis had a more physical NFL style and ready game. FAU didn't. FAU was going to be more of the high upside product. Where you drafted him, I understand. I get the thoughts. I get all that stuff. It's a sunk cost now. We have to understand who cares where he was drafted. He's now a Chief. How does he fit in? People might not like to hear this, but he's almost more of a situational guy. Like, he's more of a situational pass rusher, and that's completely fine. You pair him with Mike Dana, you got yourself a really good unit right there, really good combo. You got Mike Dana on first and second down, and then you got third and long, an obvious pass rush situation. You kick Mike Dana inside. Maybe you want to throw FAU on the field as well. I mean, Chris Jones probably going outside and all this stuff. But while Charles Minahu is out, we have a very good opportunity to see where FAU is in his development. I hate seeing injuries. We all hate seeing injuries. But when Donovan Smith went down last year, we got to see a glimpse of Wanya Morris. That was great for the organization, quite frankly. We now have to see, oh, wow, we just got some huge lightning right outside my house. That was slightly terrifying. But when you saw Wanya Morris, you got a glimpse of what he was going to be going forward. That is great for the Chiefs. They now have a glimpse of him in game action. With the Minahu out, that sucks. But we all expect the Chiefs to make the playoffs. So now we get a chance to see what FAU can do in extended action. What if he takes a step forward and all of a sudden we go, oh my gosh, he's been better than we expected? What if he goes, you know what? No, he didn't take a step forward. That sucks. But now you know you have Charles and Minahu to count on. Now we know he's coming back. We know you have something waiting in the wings. I'm excited, though, for FAU's emergence going forward. Couple of other questions to get to. Michael Donegan, funny with the language. LRZ has a lot of proper habits to break. Yeah, I love that. Surprised that Irv Smith Jr. is the fourth tight end currently on the depth chart. I'm not, especially based on his contract. I think it was $384,000 guaranteed. I really think that he's not a lock to make the roster for the Chiefs. It wasn't enough guaranteed for me. They're not cutting Jared Wiley. They're not cutting Noah Gray. And obviously Travis Kelce's still here. I think he makes the roster and the Chiefs keep 4. And on game days, one of those guys, whether it's Wiley or Irv Smith, is inactive. But I wouldn't be shocked if the Chiefs only kept 3 guys, which in that case, it's Irv Smith Jr. on the outside looking in. So no, I wasn't personally surprised there. Mile High Luke, I'm curious what type of target share you think X can earn this year. I can see a 70 catch, 900 yard, and 6 to 8 type year. I can see it, but I would be shocked. Like that to me is everything goes right. This is going to frustrate a lot of people. This is going to be obnoxious, and we're all going to be yelling at the TV. Okay? Get ready for a heavy dose of Justin Watson to start the year. I don't want to see it, but we know how it's going to play out. We know we're all going to be clamoring for Xavier Worthy game 2. We know this. But the Chiefs, and somewhat to their credit, they didn't rush Rashee Rice last year. They didn't rush him. They said, we know where he's at. We understand we're throwing out guys who are struggling to catch the ball. We get that. We're not going to rush Rashee Rice. We're going to take our time. I do think Xavier Worthy is farther along than Rashee Rice was. I mean, let's be real. Xavier Worthy went for 900 yards, nearly a K at Texas when he was 18 as a freshman. It was insane. So maybe he gets the playbook and gets more opportunity early, especially with Rashee Rice potentially missing some games. We're still waiting to see how that works, whether it's the commissioner's exempt list or what. But I think we're going to see through the first 5 or so games, if Rashee Rice is out, you might see Justin Watson as wide receiver 2, and we're all going to be scratching our head, but I think we shouldn't. I see Xavier Worthy as more of a 650 to 700 yard receiver this year, probably more in that 650 range. Again, not a bad thing. I have high hopes for Xavier Worthy. I just am going through history and seeing how the Chiefs don't rush along rookie wide receivers, okay? If Rashee Rice is back and Hollywood Brown is obviously healthy, you're looking at a wide receiver 3, option 4 behind Travis Kelce, 650 to 700 yards. That's a great rookie season for a guy like Xavier Worthy. There's all perspective thrown into this. I think we'll see a lot more 12 personnel as well. And yeah, I see KL 368 saying we will lose games we shouldn't do in that. I don't disagree, man. Like, I don't disagree. I'm just going through what the Chiefs have shown us. What I want to see and what the Chiefs have traditionally shown us can be 2 different things. I just don't want to lie and say I think Xavier Worthy is going for over a K when history has shown that's not how the Chiefs operate. You also talk about first-round pick. He has to take a step forward. Well, we thought Braylon Speaks had to take a step forward since the Chiefs traded up to draft him in the second round. That never happened. Again, we want him to. He needs to for the Chiefs to really have hit on that pick. Again, I think FAU will take a step forward, but yeah, he'll have an opportunity this year. That's for sure. Let me see some more questions. Jay Ross. Michael Donegan says, Jay Ross has no excuses now. Last Chance Hotel needs 5 one-handers per OTA. Yeah, man. I'm not going to put my eggs in the Justin Ross bucket either. It's Josh Gordon now. When your stuff came pre-COVID, everyone goes back to, look at him in college. Yeah, a lot of that came pre-COVID. If that's when we're looking at your best years and that came in college, I'm going to pump the brakes. It sucks. Injuries are part of the game. A lot of injuries happened. That's the main reason why he was undrafted and came here and hasn't had an opportunity. They see Justin Ross every day. It was intriguing when they were hyping him up last year. Awesome. Nothing to show for it. So I'm pumping the brakes hard on Justin Ross. And as Ruben points out, FAU training with Tamba, that was awesome, man. I loved seeing Tamba Hali perpetually getting with and working with the younger edge rushers on Kansas City. That's badass, man. Just the culture the Chiefs have. And just a little side note here. The Chiefs have one of the best, in my opinion, organizational structures. They take care of their alumni. From when I've talked to a lot of alumni players, a lot better than other teams. It's why a lot of these alumni players, they join the Chiefs ambassadors. It's why they come to Kansas City. That's why they do a lot of these events. They feel welcome here. They feel wanted. A lot of that's Chiefs Kingdom, the fans, and a lot of it's the team and the organization saying, hey, you might not have been a major player here. You might not have been here a long time. You might not have a ton of accolades here. We're still going to take care of you. We're still going to have you do events. We're still going to have you be out there in the community. And I think the Chiefs and the Chiefs ambassadors do a phenomenal job. And I don't think every single team does that. And so I don't think we should take that for granted. And we need to recognize when the organization does do things the right way. Tom Hood says, so is this a do or die year for Sky Moore? 100% it is. I think he could be a fine player in the slot. I said fine. I didn't say good. I didn't say great. I think he could become a fine player in the slot. They used him on the outside last year. That was atrocious. You should never play Sky Moore on the outside. Wasn't going to work. We could see it from the get-go, but the Chiefs didn't have a ton of options, and they tried to force it. They tried forcing a square peg in a round hole. Wasn't going to work. Sky Moore in the slot, I think, could be fine. If we see Sky Moore play 20 to 25 snaps a game in the slot, especially with Rashee Rice being out, I'm okay with it. I'll leave it there. Doesn't sound too optimistic though, huh? Yeah, I'm not going to lie to you guys. If you say who am I more enthusiastic about, Sky Moore or Kadarius Toney, I'm still going Sky Moore. So that's where I land on Kadarius Toney. By the way, the Chiefs are still going to three-peat with all this negativity I'm bringing. I know I maybe sound negative right now, or at least a little bit pessimistic about some of the wide receiver rooms and the running back room. Chiefs are going to three-peat. Yeah, I have no questions about it. They're going to do it. All right. Pittsburgh Steve in the Discord says, Rice is most likely going to be suspended this year. I don't have the most confidence in Moore and Toney. And like Sterling says, Watson is fine. I believe we need a veteran wide receiver while Rice is out. As I went through earlier on, that list ain't good. I do wonder how things would have played out had the Chiefs had the Rashee Rice situation happen earlier, or if Rashee Rice called the Chiefs that night and told, because I believe it was Zay Jones and maybe it was Tyler Boyd. Both those guys signed after, but would the Chiefs have been more attentive to especially Tyler Boyd had the Chiefs known about the Rashee Rice situation earlier? I wonder if the Chiefs would have said, you know what? We really need to go out and get Tyler Boyd. I know we don't think he's a great player anymore. We know we weren't going to give him a whole bunch of money, and he was not our first choice earlier on. Doesn't matter now. We need to have a guy. I wonder if that would have been the case. We'll see. And by the way, for those that don't know, Rashee Rice and the alleged accuser dropped the charges. They're not filing charges against him. Doesn't mean he's home free, But this whole situation gets weirder and weirder and weirder, calling it a, quote, misunderstanding. Again, don't want to speak out of turn, so we will see and let the process play out. But I think if you are Rashee Rice and his counsel, you have to at least think that's a positive step in regards to the Dallas nightclub incident. All right, couple more here. USAF Chiefs fan in the Discord says, will we see Worthy play some punt returner this season? And if not, who? That's a good question. Good question. My personal take was no. I don't want to see Worthy back there just based on his size, but also part of me goes, he is a game changer. If you saw what he did at Texas, dude was, 40 returns at Texas, and he was electric back there. If you want to get the most out of him year one, then yeah, I think you do put him back there as a returner. But part of me also questions, we saw what happened with Sky Moore and his confidence. Crushed it. If one thing goes wrong back there, it can sometimes translate and permeate through a player's mindset going forward. Do the Chiefs say, we're not going to deal with it? We have high hopes for him as a receiver. We don't want to risk it as a returner. If that's the case, you won't see him. If they think that's the best way for him to see the field early on, maybe you see him as a punt returner. I would be shocked if you ever saw him as a kick returner, even with the new rules. If not him, man, I still like my thought of bringing in Jamal Agnew as a returner. Again, as a punt returner, I don't know. It's a great question. I'll have to think of that more. Justin Watson just to return it and not run, just catch the rock. Because quite frankly, that's all I think the Chiefs need to do is make sure you don't drop the ball. As long as you catch it and give the ball to Mahomes, I like the Chiefs' odds to score. Just don't turn the ball over or fumble or muff it or anything. Don't be dumb. Just fair catch the ball. That's all I care about. So, you know what? If Xavier Worthy can do that, just don't take it back. Just fair catch it. I'm all in. All right. I think that's it right now. I think I went through the majority of the questions. Oh, final one from USF Chiefs fan. Why haven't I been beating the drum to sign Richie James again? Because I was wrong. I thought Richie James had it in him. I thought Richie James last year could take a step forward. He never got a great opportunity, but I thought he could do it. And quite frankly, it wasn't just me. If you saw him at OTAs and training camp, a lot of the media said the same thing. They said Richie James was the guy who was showing the most. We were all Richie James stans, and I was the leader in the clubhouse. I was also the first one to apparently be an idiot. But I'm man enough to own up to my mistakes. I was wrong on Richie James. I was wrong. Guys, this was fun. Everyone, I appreciate you guys being here with me. Not a lot going on, obviously, right now in the offseason, so I'm glad we could hang it up, chat, chop it up, and get to some of your questions. Final question. I forgot I lied. The nonsense question from Slothy. He asked me which one I think is better, Pop-Tarts or toaster strudel. The question is on the go Pop-Tarts. If I have time to sit down and eat, it's toaster strudel. Come on, you're not beating the toaster strudel if you have time to sit down in your house and eat it. On the go though, shit's too messy. Can't rock that. I'm spilling that all over myself in the car with the icing. That's bad news bears. But this was fun, everyone. I appreciate you guys hanging out. Again, I know there's not a lot. Can't force it. Hopefully more information comes as the weeks progress, as we get more into OTAs and then eventually training camp. Going to be a lot of fun. Until next time, I'll be back tomorrow with Adam Best. We are out.